Welcome back to the Steel City Sports Podcast. Today I'm introducing a new segment on the channel, which is the Lombardi ladder. And essentially what this is, we're going to take a look at each week the top 5 teams most likely to win the Super Bowl. So this is not a power ranking video per se. We're not looking at this just based off of the week's performance, although that can definitely factor in. But it's just my opinion, the current state of that week, what team I think has the best odds to win the Super Bowl. And for the 5th most likely team, I have the Detroit Lions. And it kind of it feels crazy to say that the Detroit Lions are the 5th most likely team to win the Super Bowl, but they deserve it. I think that they really have deserved it. Whenever you hit great drafts, like Seattle has done their last 2 drafts, this past draft for the Detroit Lions, it was incredible. I mean, it really was. I mean, you got, 4 really productive high-end starters. Maybe they're not all high-end, but a couple of them are. I mean, let's just go down the list. Jahmyr Gibbs, running back. We talked about him after that Raiders game. The guy is an absolute stud monster. I love him. I think he can be a top 10 to 5 running back in the entire league just for his versatility and his catching ability. You also got, obviously, Sam Laporta in the 2nd round, who is... you go look at how good he's been. Go look at his numbers compared to other elite tight ends like Travis Kelce, like George Kittle. He rivals, and even some of those cases, is better this year than those guys. You also got Brian Branch, a really good high-end safety from Bama. I think he's going to be an all-pro level guy. You also got Jack Campbell, the linebacker, who really looks like a good playmaker on the defensive side of the ball. So whenever you hit on those type of drafts, to go with already a really nice collection of guys. Jared Goff's playing his best football. This is a top 3 O-line in football. They had a really good offense last year. It's just they couldn't stop anybody. And through the draft, through free agency, they've been able to address that, clean that up. And I really think that they are one of the elite teams in the NFL. And even beyond the roster itself, they say actions speak louder than words. Well, look at the wins that they have. They have a couple impressive wins, most notably Week 1 beating the reigning Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm really high on Detroit right now, and I think they're only going to get better as time goes on since they're just a young team. For the 4th most likely team, I have the San Francisco 49ers. Now, don't get me wrong. I know the Niners have hit a skid, but losing to Joe Burrow and the Bengals, I don't think that's the worst loss in the world. And it turns out Brock Purdy, your undrafted quarterback, turns out he's not going to play like Kurt Warner in every game. I mean, it happens, guys. Take a break. I know I made a video after that Bengals game, was I wrong about Brock Purdy? But he's still more than capable, even though he is sitting a skid. All the greats hit skids. I'm not saying, Purdy isn't one of the greats, but the fact that he's having a bit of a downturn at this point in the season doesn't worry me too much, specifically with all the talent that the 49ers have. I don't have to read off the names. You guys know all the legends that they have on that team. And they also added at the deadline Chase Young. They've been kind of underwhelming with their defense this year. Some people pointing the finger at Steve Wilkes, their new defensive coordinator. And we all know that DeMeco Ryans had a massive impact on that defense. Look at the job he's doing in Houston now. But going back to their defense, been kind of lackluster, and especially Nick Bosa after getting that massive contract. So what do? They double down. They go out and they get Chase Young. And we did a video reaction after that happened. I think that that's an awesome pickup because Chase Young is an absolute game wrecker. The fact they only had to give up a 3rd for him. This is a guy who went 2nd overall in his draft. So getting him, I think, only just shores up their defense. And I do have kind of a, I guess you'd call it a controversial opinion, is that I do believe that Kyle Shanahan is the best head coach in the NFL, and I would debate anyone on that. So I still think that they're a pretty likely team to win the Super Bowl. And at number 3, we have the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I might be going against my own role here, and that is don't get too high on the Ravens in the midpoint of the season because back-to-back years, and maybe more, I can't remember off the top of my head, but at least the last 2 seasons, the Ravens looked like they were rolling. Lamar Jackson was an MVP candidate. And then it kind of seems like they always fall off the second half of the year, whether it's due to injury, whether their schedule gets more difficult. I don't know exactly the reason, but Baltimore always seems like they're a first-half team. I think that that's different this year for 2 specific reasons. Number 1, this is by far and away the best version of Lamar Jackson we've ever seen. I think that he's playing head and shoulders above his MVP year because he's not over-reliant on running the ball. He's much more refined as a passer. I know people don't like to give Lamar Jackson credit for being a thrower, especially living in Pittsburgh. I know, I hear a lot of people talk crap on Lamar. But, I mean, obviously we knew that he should at least have improved given the receivers they gave him. And it looks like Zay Flowers, that was a home run hit. He looks like he fits perfectly in there. And then, of course, the second reason is the defense. The defense has been good in years past, but right now, as of Week 9, I guess we're entering Week 10 today, but I'm just going to say Week 9, the Baltimore Ravens are not only one of the best defenses in the NFL currently, I think they're second right now, but they're also one of the most historically good defenses in the NFL. That's how good their defense has been. So their defense is elevated, their quarterback is elevated, and they're just rolling right now. I mean, they're killing teams. I mean, you look at Seattle. Seattle's a team I have projected for the playoffs. They mopped the floor with Seattle. They're just bludgeoning teams right now. So I think this is pretty warranted for Baltimore. And for me, the second most likely team to win the Super Bowl is the Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning champs. Now, don't get me wrong, they're not as explosive as they have been in the past. And even last year without Tyreek, I felt like they were more explosive. I don't know exactly the reason being. But this year they seem a lot more methodical on offense. Like they'll have one big play drive, but there's clearly not the big knockout punch the Chiefs once had. However, this team is extremely resilient. They always find a way to win games. And obviously, the main reason for that is you have the best player in football, Patrick Mahomes. And similar to what I said about the offense as a whole, Patrick Mahomes isn't lighting up the stat sheet like he has been in years past. And trust me, I know directly because I have him in fantasy. So I pay very close attention to what Patrick Mahomes does. So I know they're winning games. He's not as explosive, but in the big clutch moments, he makes the right decisions. That's obviously crucial. And then the defense, similar to what we said about Baltimore, Kansas City's defense is really good. It's a really underrated part because we all talk about Mahomes and Kelsey and Andy Reid, but the defense for the Chiefs has been elite this year. And last time I checked, they were the 5th-ranked defense from Pro Football Focus. So, I mean, I don't think it's too big of a shocker to have the Chiefs up here. Do you guys think that I should have them at 1? I don't know. I think there's just one team that's better than them. And my current favorite to win the Super Bowl is the Philadelphia Eagles, the team that the Chiefs beat in the Super Bowl last year. I think that this is, pretty comfortably the best roster on paper in the NFL. Like, you look at the Niners and how great their roster is, but there's still a question mark at quarterback with Brock Purdy. Look at Philly. They have the same elite players like the Niners do, except they have a top 3. And yeah, I am willing to say now that Jalen Hurts is a top 3 quarterback in the NFL now. To have him on top of all the elite playmakers you have on basically every single unit you can think of, offensive line, skills positions, defensive line, linebacker, secondary, they have all pros everywhere on this team. And it seems like they're still not playing at as high a level as they could. I feel like there's still another level that they can go to, and they're 8-1. So for me, right now, Philadelphia is the favorite. Let me know in the comments who's your favorite to win the Super Bowl right now. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you giving this a listen. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks.